All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the LaDonna Ray Show. I'm your host, LaDonna Ray, and we are here live and in effect with the LaDonna Ray Show. Today, we have a very special guest. I can't tell you how much I appreciate her. She is definitely a TikTok influencer that we chose to reach out to for very many reasons. Number one, the LaDonna Ray Show is about reaching out to verifiable content creators. So, verifiable content creators, what does that mean? We're not talking about the blue check. We're not talking about a million followers. We're talking about people who have actual content out there ready for us to take hold to. So, if you are a content creator and you are making a difference in whatever community that is, whether it be music, film, television, cooking, or even social justice and community, we are definitely the platform that is going to reach out to you or you reach out to us, and we want to showcase that so that our viewers and audience can take a look at that on the LaDonna Ray Show. And now let's get to our guest. This is such a pleasure. This young lady is a mother, a wife, a influencer by any the stretch of the imagination is just so broad. What she did was she did something that was so unique on TikTok that we just had to have her to ourselves at least for this 1 hour. Okay. So please join me in welcoming Miss Kyirra Tillman to our show. How are you? Let me bring her in. I gotta bring her in and do it for real now. Here she is.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi.
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, it's an honor for us because number one, your story is so compelling because you have taken on the responsibility of being, as people would go, oh my gosh, if this was some type of talk show, but you've taken on the responsibility of being a mother at the tender age of what, Kyirra?
12.
12 years old. And all I'm sure people do is think about, wait a minute, at 12, I was still playing with my Barbie dolls. It doesn't matter because at 12 years old, you already had to make the decision of what to do with someone else's life.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit? I know the whole story because I've been hanging on to every minute of TikTok. Can you tell our audience and yours how this came about at 12?
Um, whew. So we had moved to, well, really, we were dragged and forced to go to South Carolina for the summer. My mom sent me and my brothers to South Carolina for the summer. And then we was only supposed to be there for the summer. We actually ended up staying. And then I met this boy. My aunt introduced me to her in-laws, and he was one of the in-laws, and I met him. Everybody was telling me, well, my cousins really were telling me to stay away from him. I shouldn't be hanging around older people and things like that. But of course, me being actually 11 when I got pregnant, I was 11, and I didn't look 11. I didn't look 11 at all. And he
You
was
had that mama hip.
right. He was, he was one of those people that was like, well, if you love me, you'll do it. And I did because I was hanging around him all the time. I was hanging around him. I was hanging around all my older cousins. So it was like a everyday thing. I was hanging around him, and then it just happened.
You know, at 11 years old, do you even know what's happening to your body? I mean, did you start off in denial or thinking that if I run faster or just trip and slip and fall? I mean, tell me what was going through your mind because I know that had to be scary for you. Oops, sorry.
Fine.
Hold on.
Are you
Yeah.
speaking about like when I found out I was pregnant?
Yeah, when you found out you were pregnant.
Yes, it was everything. Like even before we found out that I was officially pregnant, he kind of knew because I was getting bigger. Like I was growing more. Like I was getting more breast and I was getting full. Like I've always had a shape, but I was never big. So he was like, what are we gonna do with that? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what? And at this point, I was sitting on my aunt's porch eating Cheetos. And I was just hungry. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he just kept pointing to my stomach. And I'm like, I run track. I'm a cheerleader. I dance. So like it's gonna come off. Like I was always in the field with my brothers. I'm the only girl. So I had no choice but to be active. So I'm like, I'll get this off in no time. That ain't gonna be nothing. You ain't gotta worry about your girl looking any type of way. That ain't gonna be nothing. Then when I turned 12, 2 weeks after my 12th birthday, my mom took me to the hospital and I found out. In my head, I was thinking like, I really have to get rid of this baby because I cannot be a mom at 12.
You knew that you could get rid of a baby at 11?
Did
Uh-oh,
I
what's
know?
that noise? I hear some noise.
I don't know.
Okay, I wonder if that's on my end.
I
No,
don't.
you hear it?
Yeah, I hear it.
Is it? Okay, we're gonna keep going. So at 11, you knew you could get rid of a child.
No,
That's
I
what.
didn't know. I just knew that I had to. Like when I found that I was pregnant at 12, it was 2 weeks on the 27th of January, 2010. I would never forget that date. It was 2 weeks after my 12th birthday when I found that I was pregnant.
Oh my
In
God.
my head, was thinking like, how can I get rid of this baby? How can I get rid
Hmm.
of this baby? I love
Hmm.
this baby. How can I get rid of this baby? My mom tried everything she could. She filed her taxes. That was a delay. We went to the what was it? Some type of abortion clinic in Georgia. That's when they found that I was further along.
Right, you spoke about that. You said that you guys purposely went to another state to get this procedure done, and you're feeling like, well, by the time I return, I won't be pregnant anymore. But when you got there, what did they tell you?
They tell me that well, they looked at my mom and it was like, Mom, we can't do this procedure. And she was like, basically, why the hell not? That's her exact words. And she's 5.5 months pregnant.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I couldn't deal. I was crying. My mom was so upset. And
That
you
had to be
know, person
devastating.
want to put their hands on like, why did you do this? Well, she couldn't because I was pregnant.
Yeah. Wow. And you know something, I know this feeling because at 16, I found out I was pregnant, and all I could do was have the baby at that point because I hid it for so long that, I didn't think about getting rid. I didn't know, it's like my mom just kind of showed me to my grandmother and said, "Look at her waistline. It's different." Because I was real thin. So
But
it was like,
you
it's different.
too. Like you didn't have a shape, but once that baby started coming, then it started making you
Mhm.
bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me.
As I'm trying to get comfortable right now. So, oh my gosh. So back to finding out that you were further along than you were. What next? Do you guys ride back home in silence? Do you start planning? What do you think about next?
Well, when I came out of the abortion clinic, his father was actually there. So it was his mom, his aunt, and his father, me, and my mom. His father seen me come out the clinic crying. So he was holding me. Like he was holding me and I was hugging onto him and we was walking away from everybody and he was like, anything that you need to tell me, I know it's a lot for you, you can tell me later. He was like, do you want to talk about it now? And I just started shaking my head like, no. Now when I told him that, if we fast forward, he actually got the impression that I was basically saying that the baby wasn't his son's. And I'm thinking to myself, like, those words never came out of my mouth. Talk about it right then and there. Like I didn't want to talk about being pregnant right then and there because I have to sink in the fact that I am literally 12 about to really have this baby. There's nothing that anybody can do about it. I'm gonna have this baby.
Wow.
So it was a lot. And we didn't ride back in silence. His mom was talking to me. His aunt was sitting beside me. So me and my mom and his aunt was in the back seat, and she was sitting beside me. She was like, everything was gonna be okay. My mom, of course, she just crying because her only baby girl is pregnant now, and we don't know what we want to do. So it was a lot. Just riding back home.
Yeah. I know that was a lot of pressure on you. And then at 12 years old, knowing that now you're going to be a mother in a matter of months, do you start thinking about how your childhood is going to change now?
Kind of. I still had in my mind, cause again, he wanted me to keep the baby, but my mom was like, she ain't having no baby at 12. I don't care. But now that we have to keep the baby, I wasn't thinking about keeping the baby. I was still thinking like, okay, well, I can't have this baby. This baby's gonna get out my life one way or another.
Oh, wow.
But whether I have to give this baby away, leave the baby at the hospital, or I'm giving the baby up for adoption. Now, I decided to give my baby up for adoption. I was looking through adoption agencies. My mom was looking with me, but she came to me. She was like, ultimately, it's up to you. I don't never want you to grow up and hate me because I forced you to give your baby up.
Yeah.
Even at 12, this is still your decision. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give my baby up for adoption. I'm not going to leave her in the hospital. I'm going to bring her home. But if I find the right people for my baby, I want to give her up. So she don't have to worry about anything that I'm going through. I still want her to be in contact with me and know who her birth mother is. But I don't want to have this baby. I don't want to raise a child. I'm only 12.
Yeah. And then what do we know at 12? But those mother instincts come in quick, don't they?
Yes.
So now fast forward. Now I know you mentioned something about, you said that the mother or the father said that you said it wasn't his son's child. But at the same time, when you were talking about giving the baby up, didn't the father go against that?
Yes. He was like, no, he want to keep his child. He's going to help me take care of the baby. And I'm still in my head thinking like, okay, you're saying you want to keep this child and you're going to help me take care of my baby. But I'm still not ready to be a mom. At this point, you're 17. So he doesn't turn 18 until October.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still 17. So you can go out and do a lot of things. I can't do that because I'm still 12. So I got to rely on you and my family to take care of this baby, and it shouldn't be like that. So
Right.
why would I just want you to do that and I still have to be a mom at the end of the day? I'm like, in my head, I have my whole life to live. You got to be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 now without any responsibilities, and I'm going to start having a child. Like, I'm going to start being a mom. We can't do that.
Yeah.
So, of course, he's continued to beg me, and we talked on the phone about it, but it was still my decision. Like, at the end of the day, how they say, daddy's maybes, mama's babies. I'm like, at the end of y'all already denying my child anyway, so I might as well just go ahead and give her up. She don't know y'all. She's not going to know y'all. All she's going to know is that she had a mom that had her at 12 and she has a better life now. That's all I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm. And now he wants to keep the baby, and that's one thing. But now there's the other piece of this where he wants to, or the mother wants to step in and say that she got a DNA test done. I got the DNA test and it was negative, so bye-bye for now.
Right. So her lying ass.
Yep.
Okay, her lying ass. Excuse my language, but her lying ass.
It is what it is.
After I had my baby, she said that she had a DNA test done. So mind you, I done kept my baby. I done went through the labor process. I done had my baby and all. I don't even think my baby was like 2 months old. She said she had a DNA test done. And I was pissed because I'm thinking to myself, like, who told you
right.
DNA test? And then for you to literally believe your son, who is 17, who probably done been sleeping with a lot of people, because you're a boy, you're 17. So you done been through this already, like with sleeping with a lot of girls, having different girlfriends. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, you really gonna believe this boy? And I told you that this boy took my virginity. Like, you're really gonna believe this boy? I was pissed. My mom was pissed. And she was just saying she took the DNA test but never could provide results. Never. To this day.
My
daughter's about to be 11, May 4th. Never.
Because they didn't.
You would think that she would still give me the results, but no, never. So I'm still here waiting on results from almost 11 years ago.
Maybe she'll give them to you for Christmas one day.
Maybe. We never know. But she's a liar. I've always said that. I until this day, well, before me and him stopped talking, I told him half of the stuff that we go through now, we would never went through that. I don't like the term baby mama, but he used that term. I would have been the coolest baby mama ever. I don't care about you being married and having other kids. We can get along. We can literally be a blended family. But you let your mama in our damn business. I said, has she mind her damn business, you wouldn't be going through this right now.
Yeah. It's difficult for a 17-year-old to tell mom to get in her place. It's difficult for a 12-year-old to, go against mama. So when you got children making adult decisions, it becomes very very convoluted, and I get it, but what really got me is when the young lady wrote into your made a comment on your TikTok, like, oh my God, I'm kind of going through this. Can you tell us about that and how you responded?
Which one? Because there was a lot of them.
The one where she said something about school, and you said whatever
Oh,
you do. Yeah.
okay. Yes. When I had my baby, I had family members telling me that I was gonna be. I'm from up north, so if anybody's listening, they from up north, they know what a chicken head is. You know what a chicken head is.
Yeah, we got chicken heads in Chicago, but
Right.
okay.
So they were telling me I was going to be a chicken head. I was going to be on welfare. I was going to finish school. And mind you, I'm 12 and they're telling me this. I'm like, wait a minute. A baby's not going to stop me from doing anything. So when I seen the young lady on TikTok and she was like, I'm going through this now. I had my baby at 14. It's hard trying to finish school. And she also told me she has supportive parents. And I was like, for one, I'm never going to say it's not going to be hard because having a child, even as an adult, is hard. But being in school and being 14, that is even harder because now you have to finish school, try to get through all your teen years and still raise the child. So I just wanted to let her know, like, you got it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be times where you feel like you want to give up, but don't give up. If I would have gave up, I would have been all those things that my family members. And when I tell you family members, like immediate family was telling me that I wasn't going to be nothing. I was just going to be another statistic on welfare, probably going to have like 4 or 5 different baby daddies and this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, that's not going to be me. I'm going to prove all of y'all wrong. And that's what I wanted her to understand. Like, a baby doesn't stop you, whether you have the baby at 14, whether you have the baby at 18, continue to keep pushing through. And I think I even told her, like, if you need to talk, like, just reach out to me. Because I definitely will give her all types of advice that I wish I had.
Right. Same here, And the funny thing is you had mentioned that your parents were Haitian.
Oh.
So we were like, wait a minute. Mom, dad, but I did understand that your dad was in New York while you were where were you? I'm sorry.
I was in South Carolina. I'm still in
South Carolina. Right. So dad was in New York getting wind of this over the phone. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, you had to go and chill with dad.
Mm. And I ended right back, and you see where I'm at now, ended right back down.
Because you're like, well, if this didn't work, let's try this. You kind of got to find your way because it's easy to bounce. I don't want to say bounce. It's easier to find a place to lay your head when it's just you.
Right.
But when it's you and your child, it's a package. Yes. And that's very much so difficult. But I want to hear your side of it because, look, I could talk about this all day long as I went through it. Okay, so, you go to stay with your dad because at mom's house, stuff is just hitting the fan. I mean, between the baby's daddy, as we don't like that term, I don't like that term either, but his mother is making it she's making it a priority to meddle.
Right.
Because she's not ready for her son to be a father. Right. And he's not ready to be a father because at some point he denied ever being with you more than one time. Yep. He's like, I just one time. Well, you and I both know it takes only one time, but we know that y'all were getting it in.
Exactly.
On a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And I just want all the young people out there to know that, sexuality is big. It's shown, it's glorified. But at the end of the day, what do you want your reputation to be? What do you want your narrative to be? Do you want to, you know what I'm saying? If I knew then what I know now, what do you want your narrative to be? So at 12, if somebody says, well, if you love me, then I love you, but I really love myself. We good over here. Exactly. But you push through it. So now you got all this chaos, hiatus going on at dad's house or at your child's father's house. And because of this accusation, which it was even deeper than that, Kyirra, and I just want to know if you want to talk about what she accused you of when that DNA test came back.
Yes. So
that fake DNA.
Right, the fake DNA test. She accused me of sleeping with my mom's boyfriend, which he was always in our lives because not only did we live in New York, we lived in Georgia for a few years. So he moved to South Carolina with us. She accused me of sleeping with him. She accused me of sleeping with my aunt's stepson. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you have to literally be low to accuse an 11-year-old of sleeping with her family member or her stepfather. Like, that don't make no sense. Now, I know things happen to where girls do go through that, and sometimes it's by force, where their stepfather or their father is molesting them or raping them. But that wasn't the case with me. My stepfather, well, at the time when him and my mom was together, I did call him my stepfather. He never touched me. Never. My cousin, never. He never even see me in no type of bathing suit, nothing like that. So when she was accusing me of all those things, it was just like, okay, first you said that this is not your grandchild and you allowed your son to say that that's not his child. Then you're accusing me of sleeping with my mom's boyfriend and my cousin now. Now I understand I said my aunt's stepson, but these are kids that she took out the foster care system and adopted. So they've been in my life since I was born. They're older than me. So for her to accuse me of something like that, I was just over it. And then not to mention, my mom was an alcoholic. So it's like, one, my mom's an alcoholic. Me and her are fussing and fighting. And I had this baby. Then it was going in my head, this is the reason why I want to give my baby up for adoption. So regardless if they was accusing me of anything, my child would be in a better situation than what I'm having now. I thought about suicide. I thought about even killing myself and my baby, so we will both have to go through this. It's like I shouldn't be here, and I don't want to leave my child here. So if I go, she's going with me. But it was odd, and his mother didn't understand that. She just wanted to protect her son, and I get it. Being a mom now, I understand, because I don't care what my baby do wrong. I'm going to protect my child. But it's like, you have to say right is right and wrong is wrong. And she, to this day, she would never do that.
Yeah, I can't protect foolishness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the questions I had too. I want to say it was on Snapchat or TikTok. They was like, well, what if you had a son who did the same thing? I was like, baby, my son gonna do the time. Because I would never condone. For one, you know better. And I would never condone anything. Because I know what it feels like to be that little girl if something like that was to happen. So if I ever had a son and he did the same thing, I'm going to turn you in myself, because you're 17 and you know better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So now you're in New York, Big Apple, where bright lights, big city, New York, with your baby and your dad and his wife.
Well,
what a beautiful blended family.
It's me, my baby, my dad, I call him Miss Piggy, but his wife, and her 4 kids. Yeah, so it was all of us, and sometimes I wish that never happened. So we ended up in New York. I actually left my mother's house while she was passed out drunk. So my aunt's ex-husband, which was her husband at the time, he helped me pack my stuff up with my baby stuff, and we boarded the plane and we left. So she didn't find out that I was gone until she was like alert about everything. Like, where's Kyirra? She was calling everybody and asking about us. But I went up to New York. Not the best living situation, because my dad, he's the type of father where when he's not with anybody, he's the best dad. But when he's with somebody, he lets that person in his ear. That's the reason why me and my dad don't talk now. I haven't talked to my dad since 2016. It was not the best living situation at all. They try to control everything that I was doing with my child. And I'm like, I understand I'm young, but I still have to raise this child. I'm the one still responsible for this child. So we're not going to do that. And his wife didn't like that. She told him I had a smart mouth. And I'm telling him, yeah, about my child, I'm going to take it there with anybody. I don't care if I was 11, 12, 13, however old I was going to take it there with anybody. And she didn't like that.
Yeah. And, it just comes down to someone feeling like being the woman of the house is being threatened or being challenged. And now here comes your daughter that we never really built a relationship with prior to now.
Hmm.
And so it's got to be a horrible feeling for you. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? This is my dad, but this is his family, and I'm trying to, just kind of blend in.
Hmm.
But it just didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen at all. It was to the point where I was at her house, and then I went to my great grandmother's house on my father's side. At the time, my great grandmother was living, so I went to my great grandmother's house, and my great aunt. So my grandmother's sisters and her mother was living in this house, and they've been in this house for years. So that was the house that I started raising my daughter in. From there, I would go to my actual grandmother's house on my mom's side. My grandmother wasn't having it. Again, both sides are Haitian. But my mother Haitian side is way crazier than my father Haitian side. And my grandmother was like, I don't care what your father say. You staying here. If he don't like it, basically he gonna have to fight me for you. And he didn't like that. He didn't want me staying with my grandmother's side because he knew my grandmother was gonna make sure I had everything. And I feel like my father was jealous of that. Even with my siblings, I feel like my father is jealous of that. He wanted to be centered around him and his wife and his kids, and that's it.
I don't understand that because you're his daughter and wouldn't he want the best for you? And you had said something about how he had to put you on some type of government subsidy
Mm-hmm.
because you were a minor still.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting money for you,
Mm-hmm.
and yet he still didn't want other people doing for you either.
Nope, he wanted it all for himself. So when we moved to New York, the first thing my dad did was take me to the courthouse to get the child support cut for me, because he was paying child support for me, my oldest brother, and then my two baby brothers. So that's the first thing he did. Then after that, I want to say it was like a few weeks later, we had a court date set up for him to get joint custody of my daughter. And when he got joint custody of my daughter, that was for him to add my daughter to his insurance through his job and get benefits like FI and what is it, WIC and food stamps, things like that. Now his income didn't qualify him for food stamps, but he was getting FI and WIC.
What does FI mean?
Family independence.
Okay.
Mhm. So
Wow.
basically, family independence is the government or like DSS. They send you, it's either a card or a check. I know back then it used to be a check. So they send you a card or a check and they put money on it monthly. And you can use it for whatever you need to use it for, bills, whether it's the child, whatever the case.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't want your great grandmother doing for you. He wasn't necessarily doing for you. You mentioned something about when it was time to go to prom. I know that had to be very exciting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to take part in some type of normalcy, being a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And when you went to go get your prom dress, or it was time to do so, I mean, your dad had to have been supportive, right?
So my dad, okay, so when I did prom, I was back down south.
Okay.
My aunt at the time, I was living with her. She was getting child support for me and my three brothers from my dad. So my dad had gave her temporary custody and he was paying her child support. So she told me, for one, she had told me already I can pick whatever dress I wanted. But then she flipped the script and she was like, I'm only putting $100 on your dress. I started working, so I'm like, okay, whatever case may be. If I gotta pay for my dress, I'm gonna have to pay for my dress. But at the time, I was also dating my girlfriend. And it was a lot. Like I was like, okay, I need to get my shoes, but do I really need to get my shoes, or do I need to go ahead and just get my daughter's stuff? Like I had to think about stuff like that. Like, okay, I got this
Hmm.
$80 dress. I know I have to pay for that, but what's important right now is my daughter's stuff. So I would literally any money that I had get my daughter's stuff out the way. Then I would go ahead and pay for what I need to pay for. Now it was time to get my stuff, like the rest of my stuff, my shoes, my what is it, the little thing that you put on your arm.
Corsage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually had to get one for my girlfriend, and I had to get my dress out. I had to get my hair done. I had to do all this stuff like that, and I was asking her for help, and she was like, "You got a job," and if basically my aunt has always been like this: if I pay for something, you need to pay for it back. So I called my dad and I was like, "Well, can you help me pay for my prom stuff?" And he was like, "I send child support down there every week. So up north, you pay child support every week."
Oh, okay.
So he was like, I pay child support every week. There should be no reason why you're not getting your stuff for prom. Ask your aunt to use the child support money that she's getting from me to pay your stuff. she would, and she was like, child support is not used for that. I'm gonna use it for my bills, basically like the household stuff. But my aunt wasn't like that. My aunt would literally anything that she buy, whether it's for child support, even she was getting FI. So whether it was for child support, FI, we would still have to pay her back. So my girlfriend, which is now my wife, she ended up paying for my shoes and getting my dress out from that.
Mhm.
Right.
Wow.
Hmm.
You know, God is amazing because He takes us through things that only we can handle. Being a mother at such a young age and still pushing through school, you still finished, you still graduated, and we are most proud of you.
Thank
I know there's more to come. I'm still waiting on the next TikTok. I've been stalking your TikTok account. I knew something was wrong because you hadn't posted for some days, and then you said, "Look, I don't feel well," and I was like, girl, what are you doing posting then? But they're still waiting, and they can wait as long as they need to because this story is worth waiting for. And I know that you're not alone. There's just people that have decisions to make, and they're huge ones. You need a license to drive a car.
you.
You
Right.
need a license to practice deep tissue therapy. You need a license for so many things, but you do not need a license to be a parent.
Mm-mm.
And when you are in charge of someone else's life, it could be mismanaged.
Right.
But you've chosen to manage your daughter's life the best way you know how and to bring someone into her life that you can fully trust. And now you guys are living a beautiful family life, as I can tell. And I am just so happy for you because to go through all of that, there's more people. We're just giving you the short version. Okay. But to go through all of that and to not know who's who and find out what people really want out of the situation has got to be heart staking. And I understand it completely more than you know. So I'm glad that you came on to our show to tell us about your journey and to help others in a possible situation that they may have to make a decision on because it's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
You have to become that child's protector as you have, and that's all that matters at some point, if not in the beginning.
Right. It was hard. It was hard because there's been times I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. But when you are a mother, it clicks like, okay, this is how it's done. You don't have no manual, you don't have no script, you don't have nothing. You just like, okay, click, that's how we gonna do it. This is gonna work, that's it. And even with me and my wife, when she first met my daughter jumped in her arms as if she knew her already. And they've had a bond ever since. And my wife, she pushed me. I can't say that she pushed me. I thank her all the time. And I'm like, I don't do it enough, but I need to thank you because even when I was going through everything that I was going through and she witnessed stuff that I was going through, she was pushing me like, no, you gonna continue to do this. Even if I need to do this, you gonna continue to do this. I want to give up with school, not high school, college. She was like, no, we're not gonna do that. You need to finish this. She's like, you need me to do this while you finish your schoolwork? I'm like, well, I have schoolwork to do. I have this to do. I have orders to put in. She's like, listen, finish your schoolwork first, then you can get into doing this. Like she had a system going in. And then I had to be open to accepting help. Because of everything that I've been through, I never, to this day, my wife jumps down my throat. She was like, I'm your wife. You can always come to me and ask for help. And I'm just like, if I'm struggling, I'm going to struggle in silence. We can lay in the same bed and I can wear this ring and we can walk around the marriage license and people know that we're married, but I'm going to struggle in silence. She literally had to force herself to do something like, I'm going to do this. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to do this. Even if it's just taking my daughter somewhere. I'm like, no, I got it. And she know that I'm overwhelmed or I'm tired. She's like, go lay down. I'm going to do this. I'm like, no, I have it. No, go lay down and I'm going to do this. So it took a while for me to even be open to her helping me with my daughter. And we're still going through that. Going on, it's about to be 7 years together. So she's been in our lives for 7 years. Still going through it. I've calmed down a lot. Now when she be like, you need help with this? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I don't care. By all means, go ahead. And my daughter loves her. And that was one thing I stressed to her when I first met her. I'm like, listen, I'm a teen mom. If you can't deal with my daughter, ain't no need for me and you to even deal. Because she's first. She comes first. I don't care. And I told her this all the time. Even if we get married, and that was at the time, even if we get married, I'm like, our marriage can be on hold. My daughter's gonna come first. And I never had that. My mom, even though she tried to put us first, she has a disease going on where she's an alcoholic. So we were never first. So me going through all of that, I'm like, no, my daughter comes first. I don't care what it is, who it is, how they put it. Anybody at the school can catch these hands about my baby. That's how I am. So yeah, it was a lot to get where I'm at now and to tell my story, and just me reflecting on everything that that I've been through and what I see, because I didn't think I thought literally I was the only person that ever been through this. I know people are teen moms, but I think I'm like the youngest one that ever had a baby. And my aunt was like, no, it happens all the time. You just actually use your platform to let, young girls know. And that's the only thing that I ever wanted, to provide young girls with messages. Like, even if you're in a predicament where somebody's telling you, if you love me, you'll do it. No, like you said earlier, baby, I love myself way more to sit around here and do something like this. Or even if they're in a predicament of where, okay, well, I feel like I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do. Tell your mom, tell your dad. If you got supportive parents, tell them. That's the first thing. I'm not with abortion, because even when I had my daughter, I was against it. I would have rather give her up for adoption than to have an abortion. But I know some people don't have those options. So if that's the best decision for you, I'm like, by all means, do what's best for you. But being a teen mom is a lot. So don't ever let nobody make those decisions for you.
I totally agree with you. It is a lot, but it's not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those topics that you have to be careful about how you talk about it, because while we don't want to promote it,
Mm-hmm.
we certainly don't want to ignore it.
Right.
Because there are people out there that are going through this all the time, whether they be 10, 12, 15, 17, 19, heck, 25. Having a child is a big, big, big decision. And sometimes it's not a decision.
Right.
Sometimes it's a circumstance. And that child is still going to grow inside of you and come out and look just like you, or look just like, the father. And we are responsible for everything that we name.
Right.
And when we don't take that responsibility, then it's unfortunate, because that baby never forgets. Well, that baby never forgets. But you seem to be doing a good job. Your daughter, she is amazing and beautiful.
Oh,
she looks happy, bouncing between the two of you guys.
She is a character. I wish she was here. She's actually out doing her after school activities. But yes, everybody loves her. Everybody be like, where is she at? And I try to keep her off social media, because some people are so hateful.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
My baby don't have nothing to do with it. Y'all keep her out of it. That's why I made her her business page, her actual personal business page. I made it private because she do acting. But I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that y'all should not be trying to censor a 10-year-old.
Yeah, why are they sending her messages like, did you know your mother had you at 12? Duh.
Like, yeah, she knows. She knows.
Duh. Like, she should respond and say, no, I didn't know she was 12. I mean, come on, man, really?
I told her, I used to have a conversation with my daughter when she was young. Like, listen, mommy's only 12 years older than you, but you still have to respect mommy. And she's getting older. She's about to be 11 in May. And when I tell you, people see me and her, and they're like, I would have never known that you were the age that you were, because your daughter don't treat you like you're 12.
But that's all she knows.
Right.
She knows you're her mother. I don't care if you were 3 years older. That's a lie I tell. People say, you don't look like you have a 29-year-old. I say, that's because I had them when I was 3. But typically, when it comes to children, they're not sitting there calculating everything that society is calculating. They just know that's mama. And I respect mama. That's it. It's not about, I'll never forget, I had a young man that his son was 12 years younger than him. He was like, "This is my son," and they looked like they were like the same age. And I was like, "Oh my God!" I couldn't tell. He said, "Yeah, he's only 12 years younger." I thought he was lying. He said, "I was 12 when my son was born," and that story was so interesting to me. And that was back in 2004. So it happens. It happens more often than not. And what we have to do is we have to say, "Okay, now what?" Instead of going, "Okay, yeah, shouldn't have." Okay, we already know what we shouldn't have done. Okay. What are we doing now? But you said something just now that really made me almost tear up. You said you have to learn how to accept help. I believe that comes with the territory of being a young mother because I struggle with accepting help. And it's a big problem for me. I struggle with even asking for help.
Yes.
So it's a big problem for me. What about, I mean, how did you realize, when did you realize that you struggle with accepting help? Tell me about that.
You said when?
When and how?
Right.
Why? And who?
I mean, she just tells me, like, it just be little stuff. And she's just like, why you don't ever ask for help? And I'm like, well, you have to understand where I come from. My backstory. We were homeless when I was younger. So, and it was like, if we were homeless when I was younger in the same city that my dad lived in and he didn't help us, what makes you think I'm going to ask you for help? And my mom slept with this man, made 4 kids, and he didn't help. Mm-hmm. So I started noticing that. It's gotten better, but I feel like I shouldn't have to ask for help because I'm a mom. So mommy have to be superwoman at all times.
Oh my God, you are speaking my language.
I'm just like, I'm never gonna ask for help from my daughter. Like, even with her dad, I'm like, listen, she's about to be 11. You help, you don't. I'm her mother. I decide to keep her. I'm never gonna ask you for help. Yeah, you helped me make her, but I'm never gonna ask you for help with her. If you wanted to do it, you would have done it from the jump. If you don't want to do it, I'm not gonna stress about it. Not no more. And now I came to that conclusion. Now, before I'd be ready to pull up at his house and fight. But now I'm just like, no, if you're not gonna help me with the beautiful child that we made, there's no need for me to ask you for help. Even with my wife don't even consider my daughter her stepdaughter. She's like, no, that's my child. If anybody, even her family, be like, oh, that's Talia's stepdaughter. No, that's my child. Even with her, she's like, why you don't ever ask me for help when it comes to Zala? Even though she do stuff all the time. And I'm just like, I'm a mom. I would never ask anybody for help. Mm-hmm. Even though I know it's hard, but I would never
ask very hard. Now, I know that when you were about to graduate from high school, you did take your daughter over to live with her dad for a little while. And then he tried to stake his claim, no cap. What was up with that? Because I can't, it's what made the transition? Like, did he say, wait, whoa, I think I want to be a father now? Or was he also trying to capitalize off of having, her in his care?
I don't think he was trying to capitalize, only because a felon, you really can't get, well, in South Carolina, I know they ask you, like, if you are a felon, what's the charges and all that you went to prison for. You can't really get benefits from the state. I think the most you can get is Medicaid. But before then, we used to argue all the time, and he used to just be like, I'm stopping him from being around his child. I'm just like, that's not the case. Let me tell you, I be needing a break. So if you want to come pick up anytime, you can. But with me being kicked out of my aunt's house, I needed him to step up. And the vibe he was giving me was like, okay, the only reason basically I'm going to step up is because I am legally her father. That's how I felt. Like, legally I'm her father, so I'm going to go ahead and step up. Mm-hmm. But that's not how it felt. It felt like, no, I really don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm. But it's the right thing to say.
Like, how long? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, sir, if it was a week, a day, or a year, or 10 years, that's your child. I should be able to rely on you to take care of her if I'm falling off the wagon. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, my daughter, she's not used to being around her dad and his side of the family. So every night when I was talking to her, she was crying like, Mommy, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around my dad. So I'm like, even if me and my baby have to sleep in the car, nobody would know. But even if me and my baby will have to sleep in the car just for her to be happy, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my baby. Because you're not doing what you're supposed to do for her anyway. Because if she felt comfortable, she wouldn't be crying to me every night for me to come get you or come get her. But that was...
Yeah. Hearing your child be unhappy away from you is unbearable
Mm-hmm.
for me. And I hear it's unbearable for you as well. I if I pick up the phone and my sons, because I have 4 boys,
Mm-hmm.
and they're unhappy where they are, I gotta come get them.
Right.
I just do. I gotta come get them.
And I used to cry every night, even like in the bed with my girlfriend. I was crying, and she was like, "It's okay, we're gonna go get her." And I'm just thinking to myself, like, she should never have to go through this. The simple fact that my aunt decided to kick me out, and the night that she kicked me out, my baby was upstairs asleep, so she made me wake my baby up and
Mhm.
I need to get my baby and go. And I'm like, you could have kicked me out and just kept my baby, because it's not like I didn't trust my aunt. I lived
Mhm.
for years, so it's you could have kept my baby and just kicked me out, and I would have found a way myself. But having to find a way for myself, and now I have my baby literally
Mhm.
on my hip. It was a lot.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. But you did it.
Yeah, I did.
And how old is your daughter now? You said
She's
about to be 11?
yeah, she'll be 11 May 4th.
Oh, wow. So May 4th, we're gonna have to have a grand celebration. Happy birthday for her. I know it's coming.
Yes. Oh my goodness. She is so expensive, but I love every bit of it. She decided that she wanted to go back to Disney World because in 2016 we went, and
Mhm.
when we went last, 2016, we weren't able to bring my brothers. We wanted my brothers to come. So now this time my brothers are 18 and 20. Everybody's going. My nephews is going. My god brothers are going. My aunt's going. My older brothers, well, not my older brother, my baby brothers are going. Everybody's going. So now she have the whole family, and she got people to ride with on rides. So
Yeah.
listen, it was either New
Yes.
York or Disney World, and she was like, "Well, mommy, I think I want to go on rides." I'm like, "Okay, so Disney World it is."
Oh, that's beautiful. I know that society can be so cruel and they're going to inbox you all kind of stuff, but hey, you already know how to be like, put those Wonder Woman bangles up. I'm telling my age and just say pew, 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 whatever, and still continue to tell your story. I'll be waiting for the rest of it like I have been. No rush. But it is definitely a compelling story. It's not about hearing someone else's drama to feel better about yourself. It's about hearing someone else's triumph and knowing that you came through it. So I know we're not worried about your daughter. She already knows the story, so she has firsthand information on what to look out for. But I gotta ask, if a boy shows up at your door, what you gonna say to him?
Oh,
I gotta ask. I'm sorry.
listen, we had that conversation last night with my aunt. Well, I don't even think they'll be able to come to the door because you have my two baby brothers. They are so close in age with my daughter, but they don't play that. They're like, she's not having no boyfriend. Then you have my two god brothers. One is 6 months older than my daughter, and the other one is 4 years older than my daughter. And they like, anybody that comes to this door asking for you, they're gonna get these hands. Then you have my wife. She just like, listen, babe, let them know I'm licensed to carry, so I will bust a cap in their ass. And I'm just like, Lord have mercy, you gonna kill the people before they even get a chance to come to the door. But I have to prepare myself because I know she's only getting older. She's not getting younger. It's going to happen one day where she is going to start dating. I just don't want her to do nothing that I did. I don't want her to be in no type of peer pressure. If she feel like when she get older, like 16, and I'm not promoting having sex young, but again, we can tell our kids until we black and blue in the face, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, they'll still do it. And I speak to her about that now. Listen, when you get older and you feel like you gonna do it, at least let me know so I can take the proper steps to making sure you don't make me a grandma. Because remember, me and you only 12 years apart.
Right, we're just not ready to be grandmas yet.
No, I'm nobody's grandma. I'm like, I'm too young and fine to be anybody's grandma.
Come on now, say it.
But
You know,
if she brings a boy home when she get of age, I don't know. Only time will tell. I'm just trying not to be like how my mom was, because my mom was the type, you do this, I'm gonna bust you up. If you do
mhm,
this, I'm gonna break your neck. And especially my mama, you already know how they are.
mhm,
She just does the most, and I don't want to be like that. So I try
mhm,
to talk to my daughter, and I have a relationship with my daughter. My mom didn't really have a relationship with me. Me and
mhm,
my daughter are literally best friends, and she
mhm.
knows I'm best friend, but I'm also your mama, so I will whoop your ass anytime.
That's right.
But If you have anything that you want to talk about, whether it's menstrual cycles, growing, going through puberty, you let me know and we'll talk about it. So that's why I make it a journey, and it's like a priority now. Every Friday, I take my daughter, we do whatever she wants to do, and we just spend mommy daughter time together, and whatever she want to get off her chest, she gets it off her chest. We also started this mommy daughter journal. If she feel like she can't say it out her mouth, she writes it down and she puts it on my desk in my office when I go to work. And in the morning, I get it, I read what she say, and I write back to her and put it on her bed.
Okay. Now I got to ask you when the book is coming out.
Listen, everybody keep asking me about a book. I'm like, I don't even know how to start. My wife was like, you need to get to start writing. Like, what we doing? Like, you on TikTok and you on YouTube and people wanting books. And I'm just like, okay, I started, but I'm just like, this is a lot.
That's okay. I'm going to help you through it.
Yeah.
All right. So, I just want to say thank you over and over and over again. Um, I, I feel like this is a LaDonna Ray exclusive because this is definitely we normally interview people in the music industry, but that's okay because I'm like, it's the LaDonna Ray show. We can interview whoever we want. Right. So when it comes to content creators, your content is actually real life helpful stuff. And it can help the community, and actually it's helping the community because now I'm going to take a page out of your book, several of them, and apply it to my own relationship with my children. So I'm thanking you for sharing that because there's always something to learn as a parent. I think that when we become parents so young, we know that society expects us to know everything. So we're not as open to listening because we feel like, well, I should have already known that, so I got to play it off. But I'm well, my son, like I said, is almost 30, and I'm listening to you, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do that. It's always something to learn. Yeah. So I'm really proud of you. I know that we just met via interview, but I mean it when I say that because you are definitely a role model to anyone who is trying to avoid that particular decision. It's not a pitfall or mistake. Someone who's trying to avoid that particular decision and someone who already made that decision. So I'm so happy to have you in our circle on the LaDonna Ray show. And I got your number, girl. So it's going down.
You got my number.
All right. Well, follow her on TikTok. Look, read it at the bottom. We have it going on a ticker to let you know where to follow her on TikTok so you can hear this story. You got to start from the beginning though. So don't worry about what sometimes she does them in the dark. I don't care. I'm still listening. So you got to listen from the beginning. And TikTok only gives you a total of 1 minute. So she's telling a story that takes I'll say about 8 days, but she's doing it in segments. So listen to it, pay attention to it. Let me make sure that I have your stuff scrolling so that they can know where to find you. Oh yeah, let me do that. Sorry, there we go. There we go. So Kyirra did I said it wrong, didn't I?
No, you're fine, Kyirra.
Oh, okay. I had a moment. Follow her on TikTok. There it is. Lady Supreme E39. Okay. Yeah. You can say Lady Supreme, however you do it. I want to make sure you get to her. Then you can go on Instagram and follow her at Slay Queen 98 and YouTube, the Tillman Gang. So that is her married last name. Kudos to your wife for, coming and stepping in and saying, that's my child. That's not my stepdaughter. That's my child. And, love is in the air. And I'm glad that your daughter can grow up seeing you happy, because seeing mom unhappy kind of spills over to the children, and then you got a whole other animal to deal with. So I'm just so happy for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Of course, you coming back, girl, because you got to talk about the book.
Definitely. Listen, once I start with this book, hopefully it'll be the bestseller once it releases. But once I start with this book, absolutely, I'll come back on here.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, Kyirra.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, you know what? This is what we do. This is what we do on the LaDonna Ray Show. We talk to content creators from all over. We especially had to talk to Kyirra because of her story and what she's doing on TikTok, helping other people out. I'm talking, she's giving me parental advice and she doesn't even know it. But I am taking it and I'm taking it in. So I'm really proud of her. We have some young people out there that can really use this information, whether they have had sexual experience or not. If the answer is no, then they can learn how to wait. If the answer is yes, they can learn what the consequences can be. For every decision, there are consequences, whether those decisions are good or bad. So, let's speak real terms here. All right. So thank you for tuning in on the LaDonna Ray Show. You know to follow us on the LaDonna Ray Show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course on YouTube. You know where to find us. Make sure you hit that subscribe because that's what matters. Make a comment so other people can see what this is all about. And we'll talk to you later. All right. Bye-bye for now. I'm your girl, LaDonna Ray. Deuces.